Still waiting on that notification, sorry. All right. Hey friends, Rolf here again with the Louisville ProActivist Report. Thanks for joining me today for another great interview. This is a busy weekend for the show. This is the second out of 3 shows we're doing this weekend. Check out my videos yesterday. I was in Bowling Green covering the Emmett Till rally. So I've got 3 videos here on Facebook, 2 on YouTube. Check those out. Later on today, I've got a video coming where I'll be at a forum talking about the Bullitt County pipeline. So in between, we're here now and got a great group of people here to talk to. So let me switch this camera real quick. There we go. And I'm here today with the Louisville Tenants Union. We're going to be talking about housing in the city and all things Louisville Tenants Union. So I'm just going to go around the table here and let everybody introduce yourself. So we'll start here.
Hi, I'm Jasmine Harris. I'm an organizer with the Louisville Tenants Union and also the founder of the New Directions Tenants Union.
Right.
Hi, my name is Shemeaka. I'm a leader with the Louisville Tenants Union and also a tenant leader with the Homes Guarantee campaign.
Hey, I'm Josh Poe, organizer with the Louisville Tenants Union.
I'm Jessie. I'm an organizer with the Louisville Tenants Union and with the Party for Socialism and Liberation.
Hello, I'm LaMonika Dickerson. I'm also an organizer or a leader with the Louisville Tenants Union. Hello.
All right, thank you all so much for being here today. So I'm just going to start with a general question for everybody here. And that's just how did the Louisville Tenants Union form? How did you come about and why were you formed?
Well, the Louisville Tenants Union came out of a situation with Louisville Metro Housing Authority. We had been hearing a lot of complaints coming from Louisville Metro Housing Authority residents, particularly a location out Buford Road, which is out Berrytown. And so we visited with tenants out there and rallied up with them. We got organized and we launched the LMHA campaign in March of 2022. And the Louisville Tenants Union, we are the poor and working class people. We're multicultural and we're not fucking around.
Anybody have anything to add?
Yeah, I want to add that there were a lot of different people organizing tenants in the city. Like Shemeaka had been organizing for years in different buildings. Jasmine Harris had been organizing with New Directions tenants. One of our founding members, Jessica Bellamy, had been organizing in Shepherd Square. I had been organizing in a trailer park. The GSL had been organizing in Colonial Oaks, and so we all came together after years of working separately and formed the citywide tenants union.
Awesome. Anybody else have anything? Okay. So what are your individual connections to the work? And we'll just go around the table here.
So I started out in 2021 in New Directions, holding them accountable, as I was also a tenant there myself. And a lot of us seen a lot of mistreatment that was going on. And so I started to do a lot of research and organizing meetings and seeing what would we like to see out of this tenants union. So we started to organize and make sure that our ask and our demands was clear. And out of those demands became a fair lease. And so we worked together with the Louisville Tenants Union and had a successful rally in October to hand the CEO of New Directions the fair lease. And so we just stand in solidarity. And also we're here with them, and we just want the landlords to do the right thing. And it's still very hard, but we're getting it done.
Well, I started out years ago, probably back in 2014, as an impacted resident myself, dealing with slumlords throughout the city. I figured in the situation that I was in, I needed a us. So I struck out to create a space that we as tenants can stand in solidarity and not have to worry about being retaliated against. I was locked up in an eviction. So I started Occupy Eviction Court, where we would literally go into eviction courts and just stand in solidarity with tenants and tell tenants what their rights are. And then it just kind of got bigger and bigger over the years as we started connecting as individuals and started connecting as a group. We started organizing out in the city view. So we had been dealing with the CT associate groups way before the LMHA campaign even got started. So yeah, I've been out here as impacted residents who are still impacted because right now the rent is too damn high. We can't afford to move out of these slum conditions. So that's why they're able to treat us the way that they do. So we have to hold them accountable for the maintenance, or what are we supposed to do?
Yeah, so I grew up really poor in Appalachia. Grew up on a tobacco farm. Grew up without basic amenities in the richest country in the history of the world, and so I think that really shaped my politics. I went to work in tobacco fields really early. Formerly houseless, formerly incarcerated, and so we kind of come from this place of shared self-interest where the system that's set up is not working for us, and literally no one has our back, right? And so my individual connection to that work is to just try to build as much power, because like Shemeaka's talking about, like her situation, like the way we approach this is justice for those kind of situations, right? Like we're not here saying that this is the best possible world, right? That the richest country in the history of the world is, everyone should be housed. And we can afford to house everyone. So when we say homes guarantee, like that's what we mean. And we're not looking to like reform the system or change individual behaviors to try to manage the contradictions. Like we're here to change the housing system and the economic system. And I think more broadly, like that's what the national tenant movement is connected to.
Yeah, I've throughout my adulthood, I won't even get into childhood stuff, but my adulthood, I've probably moved like 13 times, and I'm not even 30 yet. And some people have moved a lot more than that for sure. That's been, a lot of having to leave places because I can't afford the rent anymore within cities, or having to like completely leave a city because I can't afford living in the city anymore with my income. And moving here from California, it seemed a lot better. It seemed like, I could have some more stability here. And that might be true for me, but after living here and being like in organizing spaces, especially in housing, like it's still really fucking bad. And I'm really tired of the kind of the liberal kind of mindset that like, a little bit of houselessness is okay, a little bit of evictions is okay. I say we have nobody who's living on the streets. Everybody has a place to live, and it's comfortable and it's safe. And like Josh said, we are the wealthiest country in the world. We have the resources to house everybody, and we have the resources to feed everybody. I'm tired of people, saying otherwise, because it's just factually incorrect. And also like Josh said, I'm coming to this from a very staunchly anti-capitalist perspective. I do this work through the Party for Socialism and Liberation. We are anti-capitalist, and we recognize that we have a housing crisis or the reason that we have a housing crisis is because of capitalism. And the solution to the housing crisis is ultimately dismantling capitalism and replacing it with socialism. In the meantime, we do this work of base building and building power and making sure that working people have, safe and comfortable places to live so that we can keep working towards a longer term goal. We need to have those basic needs met in the meantime. So it's really important to be doing this kind of hybrid approach of doing this work for material changes in the meantime, but with an ultimate goal of having a system that actually works for everybody, so everybody has what they need to survive, and not just survive, but to thrive and be happy. So, yeah.
Yes. Well, I came about to work with everybody because Where I lived, it was bought by another corporation, quote unquote. And they jacked our rents up. Well, before they even jacked up the rents, they just did not show up, so nobody could pay their rent. So I reached out, me and a friend of mine, a few friends, and we found Josh. And we joined in. I stayed in. Tried to get some organizing done in my community. It worked for the most part, and then they kind of came in and broke everything up. So nobody was able to pay rent except for people who had already paid ahead of time for 2 months. They sent out 7-day notices to evict all of us once they did step in. Pretty much broke the evictions down 30 days apart for everybody there, pretty much. A lot of people just got scared and ran. Like most of the people there are not previous tenants. I've been there for 2.5 years. They're brand new apartments. It's kind of crazy. They're sending in out eviction notices every month if you're late. Here, you have to be 60 days behind, supposedly, for eviction notices. But because our local government does not do what they're supposed to, these companies get away with doing that. There's big companies buying out properties all over the city. And nobody had heard of any of this happening. It happened with the Bellamy first. This was a new project that they had created for U of L students. And then they evicted all of them and to create whatever, I don't know. Then it happened to us. Now it's literally happening over the whole city and nobody's doing nothing about it. And I think it's it's complete bullshit. So you're literally creating a shit ton of homelessness. Like they jacked our rent up $400 a month. Now you're jacking rents up, but nobody's money is going up. Right. You know what I'm saying? So you create middle class people into low class people into destitute. When you're doing that, you're creating a shit ton of homelessness. Violence rates are going up. Look at Louisville's homicide rates. They're in the double digits again now. Mm-hmm. It's not just Louisville. It's every freaking where. And because they're comfortable, they're like, oh, it doesn't matter. They want to talk about gas. Yeah, gas is a problem. It is a problem. But the first thing that's a damn problem is the rents. Rents, groceries. Then you can talk about gas and other things. The inflation starts with home. If you don't take care of your home, how can you take care of anything else? So our country needs to take care of home first. I have no problem with taking care of another country. I take care of people. I take care of people outside of my house. You talk to my kids right now, that's like, Mama was always feeding everybody. I'll still do it today. But you cannot take care of anything outside of your home until you take care of home. It's stupid.
Right.
It's redundant. What are you teaching them? What are you teaching our country? What are you teaching them? Nothing. You're teaching them bad habits. So it needs to be fixed. Like, how can you throw elderly people out? What are they supposed to do? How can you make their rent more than their income coming in? And a lot of them work their whole lives off for you to, tell them, oh, your life means nothing. Go lay down and die. Yeah, it's greed. But it'll be your downfall too, because it's going to come to their door next. Yeah, so that's why I'm here.
It's not just inflation, it's greed.
It's greed.
You call it inflation, but it's greed.
It's greed. It's pure greed. But us other countries that literally have free housing, they have free medical, and those countries are fine. So what's wrong with ours?
Comes back to greed again.
Period.
And I just think that it's so crazy because I own a grocery store and I'm always looking at the competitive prices. And when you see a box of cereal, a family size for $8, what does that tell you? So not only is it very difficult for us to feed our families, but now we have to worry about our rent and we have to worry about being mistreated just by all of the prices on anything, our basic needs going up, and it's just so unjust. And actually, I have started doing a little research, but it's really messing with a lot of people's mental at the same time. Always stressed and the anxiety that builds up, just from wondering how I'm gonna be able to feed my children. Oh my God, will we be able to pay next month's rent? It just went up $100. I was gonna use that $100 to get some food. Things like that really take a toll on our family's mental health at the same time.
It does. And what our community has to realize and what the community has to realize, like our children have PTSD at a young age. My son's 10 and he's post-traumatic stress disorder, and he should be. But we've been evicted twice. They came in our house 2 times. So my 10-year-old is stressed out anytime somebody's knocking at the door. Are they coming in? He shouldn't have to live like that. And I didn't do nothing wrong. There's a problem. And that's why we're here, so that no other children going forward should have to suffer from PTSD at 6 and 7 years old.
Yeah.
But our children are, and that's the reality of it. And then we can go on and on about how it affects them in school, how education for them, they're learning differently, and we don't get the resources we need to help them with that. It could go on and on, but outside of all that box, the first box is home. And we're traumatized at home. So how do you expect for us to present ourselves out here? So what people do, what we do, we took our trauma and we put it together. And we stand in solidarity with each other. I got your back, you got my back, we got our back, to let everybody know you ain't got to worry about it. Because if we show up, they going to feel it. And we're not going to stand it.
It's a good point. The key to fixing any situation is unity.
Correct.
Yeah,
Stronger together.
Here we are.
that's it. So I know you all launched a couple new campaigns last year. Let's talk about those. Let's start with LMHA. Can you speak on that for me?
I'll start out, yeah, because we came to it from a lot of different directions. Like I said, a lot of different people were organizing in Louisville for a while, and pre-pandemic, knocking on doors, we kept hearing about this property management company and just the most illegal, horrible shit you can imagine. And then the same name kept popping up. And then there was an illegal eviction during the pandemic of Webby Adams that we tried to stop with the same property management company. Later on, you fast forward a year later, the H. Temple Spears building's in the news, right? October 2021, same property management company. And then a month later, the Heifer Road apartments were in the news that Shemeaka worked on, same property management company. And so when we had our first meeting and did what we call an issue cut, which is decide what campaign we're going to launch, it was just overwhelming support to cancel that contract and hold them accountable. And what had happened with the LMHA is that LMHA is supposed to hire union maintenance workers. And there's a clause in their contract that says they can hire private property management companies if their staffing levels get below a certain percentage. And so they don't rehire union workers. So they can hire the lowest bidder property management company and shortchange the residents on maintenance, right? And then there's this sort of system of control in place where the property management company harasses the tenants who do complain and retaliates against them. And there was just a lot of highly illegal shit going on. And so we launched our campaign on getting that canceled. And in November, it was canceled.
There was a lot. The campaign was a lot. But I think the highlight for me of the campaign was sitting at council and they're all stood in 100% solidarity and announced the cancel the contract unanimously. So that was a major win for us to see that they really did have our backs. So that was major for me.
Yeah, and it was a big win for us because there was a lot of retaliation in that campaign, because there is in every campaign. And the leaders who stuck it out in that campaign were just so brave, courageous. Almost every leader that spoke out in public experienced some kind of retaliation, whether it was lost paperwork, a rock through the windshield, some form of retaliation. And so
recertification done.
Yeah, it was a really difficult campaign. And so I think, but for an organization, for us, I think we should be really proud in that, we made a promise to working class people that we were able to deliver on. And, and in this city, like, we get calls all the time. Like, if you lived in LMHA property in the last 10 years, you probably had a negative experience with that company. And so we just built a lot of trust and credibility with the community over that win.
People were actually throwing bricks through windows?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes. It was the day of council, that day that we're supposed to go in for the resolution. One of our tenants leader came out to go to work and had a brick smashed through her windshield. Yeah.
Hopefully nobody was hurt.
No, nobody was right.
Well, that's good at least, I guess. But let's talk about, I know that's not your only campaign you started last year. There's also something with New Directions. So let's get into that a little bit.
So, it started last year because I just couldn't take it anymore. My ceiling was collapsing, the bug infestation that was coming from the roof due to my ceiling collapsing was just so too much. I have 3 children. So I had to stay with my grandmother for a total of a month while they was fixing these problems. And I was just I was like, I can't do this. I know everybody in here, we're family in the Russell building. So I'm about to start calling out everybody's issues. I need everybody to stand with me, because if we want something to be done, we all have to come together, and I got y'all backs. So we started holding these meetings, and I had a couple conversations with Josh, and those conversations will help me have clarity and everything. And so we started a list of demands last May, a list of demands on what we would like to see New Directions accomplish. And so those demands were so great, and we needed to go in deeper detail with those. And it actually became a fair lease that Josh and other organizers helped us to create. And it's happening nationwide, these fair leases, because the lease that is already in place was written by lawyers. The people in New Directions are they're all caught up. They're lawyers, they're developers, they're people that just are greedy. So they just care about their dollar. They do not care if we are sick in our homes. They don't care who does the maintenance issues or anything like that. And so with the fair lease, we want to guarantee that when the job gets done, your maintenance issues are fixed. They're getting fixed by contracted, licensed professionals, not my janitor. My janitor is not qualified to fix my toilet. My janitor is not qualified to fix that black mold. And it's a lot of different issues. And then you need a 24 to 48 hour notice not notice, but you have within that time frame to come and fix our issues, because I don't have nowhere to go. I can't go to my grandmother's all the time with my 3 children in her 1 bedroom. My grandmother's dealing with all of this. So I need y'all to fix my issue so me and my kids can be back in our home where we feel safe. The fair lease just guarantees so much that I wish more landlords would get on board. They just want to retaliate against us just because they're rude and they're nasty. They don't want to help us for real. And then by some of the tenants speaking up, they keep coming for certain people. One of the tenants they have tried to evict her 3 times since October, 3 times. And with the same issue, we keep winning. They're just being very unjust as far as with that. And then during the march and during the rally, another tenant was retaliated against who was already dealing with legal issues. And they took it upon themselves to make matters worse. And then with me, the lead organizer, by me standing up, I didn't get at least 7 days. Like LaMonika, I got 10 minutes to get my things and get out. So we are aware that there is a lot of retaliation, but that is going to all come to an end, because I feel very confident with these fair leases. There's been a lot of support, mainly from the Louisville Tenants Union. I didn't know there was other people out here like us until these conversations with Josh and then Jessica and everybody. We just realized there's more people out here that have our back. It's not just us. So we're still pushing. We're still pushing those fair leases. They're coming, and other apartment buildings are trying to do the same, and I appreciate that, because it is a really big issue that we're trying to help as many people as we can, but the real people that need to be in control of this is the landlords. Y'all want to help. Y'all just want to come and get our checks and stuff like that. But what about the real issues? What about the children who have the roaches stuck in their ears? What about all of the elders who can't go into their home and scared that they're going to slip and fall because there's leaks everywhere? And it's just so many. That's why I said it takes a lot on your mental. But at the same time, I'm just so happy to have this great support system that has all of the tenants' backs.
Let's talk about the Homes Guarantee campaign. You want to start with that, LaMonika?
The Homes Guarantee campaign, as far as what went with Washington and whatnot.
Yes.
Well, the Homes Guarantee campaign is over 246 organizations that come together, and we went to Washington back on the 14th of November. Well, I went a day early. It was 3 of us that went a day early, and had a meeting at the White House to get a document signed. Trying to get it all together. It's so much that's done happened since then. Try to get President Biden a document to President Biden to sign in. I'm trying to think, what was the actual? It was an executive order. Yeah, it was an executive order in to regulate the rents. So people can't keep skyrocketing the rents, getting people kicked out and into homelessness. But it was very interesting. We really tried to get a meeting with Brian Deese, is what we were trying to do, because we had a meeting on Wednesday when all 100 of our, people from our different unions across the United States could come together, because we were there for, a total of 4 days altogether, but 3 of those days, the other 100 people of the 100 were there. So me, Amber, and Harvey, all 3 of us went to the meeting, along with Tara. We sat in this meeting, we listened to Erica Pothig and Brian Deese and Susan Rice and a couple other people. I can't even get them out right now, but along with some other influential people. But yeah, it was all staged. It was a bunch of bullshit, to be honest. Yeah, that's what it was. I'm looking at them and I'm like, okay, so when's Ashton Kutcher come out and say you've been punked? Like, it's bullshit. I'm like, they wouldn't allow anybody to speak. Like, we're very respectful people. We know how to act. It's like, Amber, you can't always just look at somebody and tell what's wrong with them. You know what I'm saying? You don't make assumptions about people. Amber was disabled. They claimed they had disabled people. I'm not going to say these people weren't disabled. One of them I could see was in a wheelchair. They were on the video. They said they had people that were speaking that were disabled and they had to have a chance to speak. Okay, nobody's being disrespectful. Amber wanted to ask Mr. Deese a question. Just invited him to our meeting because, we wanted to talk to him. Erica was beyond rude. Like, beyond rude. I was kind of shocked at her behavior, her demeanor. It was horrible. Like, who raised you? She told Amber, we have disabled people that want to speak. Amber is walking with a cane, and you can clearly see that she's probably not 40. Amber said, well, I am disabled. Does that mean I can have a chance to speak as well? She said, you can speak to him after he gets done speaking and after they speak. Now, this was a complete lie.
Never happened.
That man flew out of there quicker than Batman, first of all. Second of all, they let them speak. She never even gave anybody else an opportunity to speak. And when I tell you, if you could have saw how rude this woman was, I had special words for that. Special words for that. And I looked her in her eye the whole time I was in that room. Lady, do not talk to me, because I'm going to pray about you. Because you have somebody to meet one day too. You have somebody to meet one day too. So literally, it was all a bunch of BS. It was all scripted. And I listened to those people. I don't know what they might have been offered to speak, but don't be taking the devil's money just to, say whatever they want you to say when there's other people that are suffering too, disabled or not. The whole US got people suffering. Like, you go outside of the Capitol and go to the park and there is nothing but tents out there. They ought to be ashamed of themselves. There's too much money out here for them to let their people suffer. And I asked those people once they decided to split us off into rooms, because they separated us and took us to the other meetings so they could kind of try to shut us up. I'm not one you can shut up. So you should have did your background. Who are you to speak for your people and the tenants when, for one, you're not one? Do you rent? Do you rent? Not your second and third homes. I'm talking about your first one. Do you? No, you probably have stocks in places like Landmark and Berkshire Hathaway and other places that may not be doing the job they should for people to live the way they should be living instead of living like animals. And actually, your animals shouldn't be living like that either, because I catch it, I'm gonna call you in. No, it's unacceptable. I'm asking them these questions. A lady tries to shut me up, sitting one seat away from me. Lady, if you speak again, we're gonna have a problem. No. I'm like, how can you speak for people you know nothing about? How about bring your ass out here and see these people? How about live a week in our shoes? Because you damn sure couldn't live a month, a couple months, a year. You couldn't even walk a block in mine. A block. And by the time I got done speaking to these people, because you're going to hear me, your eyes are watering up. Lady, I don't need you to cry for me. Just know I'm not who you thought I was. What I want you to do is do your damn job, because we will vote y'all the hell up out of here. You're comfortable right now, but you're going to answer to the same God I'm going to answer to. Do you understand? Because you're comfortable right now, but that same way you got up, that drop is going to be hard as hell, and you're not going to be able to survive the way I survive. That's why with people with money, they go jumping out the windows when their stocks fall. I'm okay. I might not be okay, but I'm okay. It's just not right. It's not right at all. And I told them, bullshit. No, fix that shit, because you can. Why the fuck you think you're in here? Fix it. It ain't that fucking hard.
Those aren't unusual tactics either when people try to get something done, intimidation, silencing people.
I don't give a damn. I wrote it all down for him, and I had something typed up for him. I said, here, I don't have a stapler, but put it all together. Take it to your boss. Y'all can make copies and read it. You got all my information. I know you ran me. I gave you all my information before I got here. You want to call me? Call me. You want my phone number?
Stay right.
Yeah.
I gave it to him.
That's also why, we might have a bad meeting with the White House, but we don't stop after that bad meeting with the White House, right? So, and that's one, as the tenants union, we really believe in nonviolent direct action as a theory of change. I think as the tenants movement nationally, we will set in a meeting with power holders, but if we don't get what we want, we will escalate and we will shut that shit down. And so I think that makes us a lot different. We will show up on people's yards, and if we have a campaign, we're not afraid to use direct action as escalation tactics. So that the meeting that LaMonika was talking about was on a Monday. On Wednesday, we had a rally, and then on Thursday we had a congressional hearing.
Right.
And so our real point here with the national campaign is a lot like the New Directions campaign. Like New Directions New Directions is heavily subsidized, right? Like they get a lot of our money. That's what subsidies are through low income, especially through low income housing tax credits. Same thing with what we're asking the Biden administration is you can regulate rents on subsidized properties. Like that's our money, so we can regulate. And that's the same reason we're asking for fair leases in the New Directions campaign. And so, the landlords are organized, right? Like they're organized in their self-interest. They have a apartment association, the realtors association, right? And they really, get people elected to office to work in their self-interest. And we're doing the same thing. That's what we're building power to. Because, you talk to people every day, landlords are getting away with whatever they want to get away with, right? And literally no one is doing anything about it. right? And so when we talk to people, and people know this, right? And so when we talk to them, it's like no one has your back or other tenants. And that's really the theory that we work on.
Yeah.
No, they ain't doing nothing about it. They're giving them more money out of the government's money, which is our money.
The rally that we did, that goes back to when we went there in July, when we spoke with HUD and had these conversations around, Marsha Fudge and her administration letting us know, don't let them tell you there's not money there for housing, because we've put plenty of money into housing. We've picked up housing vouchers, and that's cool and all. But if we're 100,000 affordable housing units short, where are they gonna use those vouchers? So what we're finding is you're producing more Section 8 vouchers, but they've priced out the Section 8 voucher now. So now your $1,200 Section 8 3-bedroom voucher does not work for a $1,400, $1,500 room. Your 2-bedroom voucher, you gotta be up under $900 to rent a 2-bedroom. 2 bedrooms are running 11 and 12 and 1,300, depending on where you are. So they price out the voucher because it's illegal. It's like housing discrimination to say that you don't accept it. So if they do, you can't afford it. So now the time that they gave you to use that voucher is gone. So once again, they're creating more homelessness, because I had a voucher that I could have used, and this is guaranteed money, but I can't afford nothing.
Yeah.
So what HUD is saying is like, well, wait a minute, because we can put all this money out here, billions of dollars for affordable housing, and ain't nothing being popped up. No, they're tearing down all our public housing and building up less than half of what they tore down. Make that make sense.
Right. You're right.
Manufactured scarcity.
Exactly.
Because they brought it up to me in the meeting. They said, can't you get subsidized housing? I said, oh, you want to talk about that? I said, when I had a voucher, y'all paid $75 in my rent. I said, wait a minute, excuse me. We paid $75 in my rent because I made $50,000 a year. I said, but I also have 5 children, 2 with $60,000 a year tuition. I said, another one that's in cosmetology school, which you know is $25,000 a year, and she just finished truck driving school. I said, oh, you thought I was a statistic, right? I said, oh, my son's also in school right now doing plumbing. I said, oh, my baby girl, she's a mother, so I am a grandmother. Oh, you wouldn't have thought that, right? I said, my baby, she's 9 months old. I said, okay, but my daughter's also walking around with a bullet in her chest, and it had nothing to do with her. I said, oh, so try living in my shoes, okay? Try living in my shoes. And my daughter wanted to be a detective, but right now she's trying to figure out, what do I do with my life? Because the same people I wanted to save is the same people that tried to kill me, and it had nothing to do with me. I said, live in my shoes. I said, so yeah, I tried. I said, I was paying $75. Well, y'all were paying $75. I had to pay the rest. I couldn't get food stamps. The food stamps they were trying to give me was $10. Why go through all that? I said, so I'm spending a fortune in groceries. I'm paying car insurance, car payment. I'm paying $1,300 more a month in rent. I said, can you pay what I was paying? Could you do that with what you're telling me to take? I said, so I gave it all back. Why? I could have got more help without having those things. I said, but then I got tired of dealing with it all together and just try to figure it out. Do you go to bed, sleep, and cry, and make sure your kids don't see you cry? No, because I taught my kids to fight. I said, that's why I'm up here fighting with you. I said, I can't tell my kids to do something I won't do. I said, not tell my kids to get out here and get it. I tell my kids to fight. And that's what they're doing. I said, I'm not a statistic, and neither are my kids. I said, so quit judging people, because you know nothing about me that you thought you did, but you know today. You know today. I said, my 5 kids are not a statistic. My baby, my little baby, I don't call her my grandchild, my little baby, she'll be brilliant. Remember that last name. Those people, a joke. A joke.
All right, this next one I'm going to start with you, Josh. I know you talk a lot about having a base as a theory of power. So what does base building mean? Can you explain that for us? And is that different from building a coalition?
Yeah. So when we started working on building the tenants union, we were very intentional about engaging people who were directly impacted. And myself, I started out doing tenant organizing, and then I got caught up in this thing of doing a lot of coalition building and a lot of like producing content, and we kind of realized that like producing a report change policy, like policy would have changed a long time ago. These are real issues of power, right? Like all these are questions of power. And unless you have a base of people that you're actually connected to working in some sort of shared self-interest, you have no power. And so no matter what you do, you're always going to succumb to the pressure of the state to make your demands smaller, to water down what you're working on, to have to like go along, get along. But when you have like a solid base of people around you, working, who are organized and disciplined and working together in shared self-interest, a lot of things can change, right? And you know, I mean, just you know, and you don't, and then you can be really true to your principles and to your message like that. And so I think a lot of times what happens with like coalitions is you have different groups that get together, but they're not actually building some strong relationships, right? So the thing about the type of base building that we do is we do one-on-ones with people where we get really fucking vulnerable with each other, and we talk about like why we've connected to this, right? We don't ask people to do anything that we don't do ourselves. And you build up strong relationships like that, right? But in coalitions, you're working with like organizations, and those are people that have jobs and they have bosses, and those bosses have a board, and the board has people that fund the organization. And you can't really get honest about having a shared self-interest. And so that's why a lot of times coalitions don't have the same kind of power, and they don't work as well. Because people are actually end up actually working against themselves. And for poor working class people who try to step into like social justice nonprofits and like well-funded like nonprofits, there's always going to be the pressure to move more toward like electoral politics or some sort of like reform that ends up watering down your demand, the type of demands that you could actually push for.
And I appreciate the Louisville Tenants Union so much, because without them, I wouldn't even known the word base building. And I accept criticism very well. So that's one of the things that the New Directions Tenants Union, it will be working on doing more of in 2023, base building, having those one-on-ones with people. Because when I had everybody, it was just me organizing with the people. Everybody was like, yeah, let's do it. But when the time came for us to do more actions and do more things to get towards what we're supposed to do, hold that landlord accountable, I started to lose people. And I was wondering why do I not have as many tenants on board as I have other people? And I have I know that I have a lot of tenant support, but when it's time for them to show up, sometimes I don't get as many people. So I have to reevaluate what base building means to the New Directions tenants as well. That way they'll be guaranteed that I want them to be guaranteed that no more retaliation will happen, but that's kind of hard to do when everybody that's willing to speak up, they're raising their rent. Now another tenant who's speaking up owes $15,000. And all of these properties are janky. It's not worth $1,000. But base building means a lot, so we can get more people, more of the tenants on board, not just the politicians, not just the organizations. And yeah, that's so great, but it really is about the people power that the more the better. And so that's really something that the Louisville Tenants Union has been helping me with. I'm grateful for it. I really am.
Yeah, that came from like a lot of hard lessons, especially, I can remember about like Shemeaka and I, like it just came from like getting our ass kicked for a long time, like showing up with power holders and working in coalitions and just not showing up power. We couldn't even get a policy past the county attorney for years around housing. And so we just got a lot clearer about our theory of power, where it came from, and stopped lone wolfing and things like that. So
Yeah. And it became apparent too, like out organizing, it became apparent that it's like, well, it's only you that got that story. There's nobody else that's having that problem. But actually, yes, it is, because we talk to them every day. So once we brought everybody to the table and you got 50 people standing here that they're dealing with the same issue with the same company, now it's apparent to them that, no, this is not a me problem. This is a we problem. So that's what we found out too, yeah, by trying to take one little issue and bring it to the table. No, collect it all up and bring it all there at one time and let them look at the whole picture. That's when they really start to take action. When they see like, no, it's not one or two, no, it's a whole damn group of people that got the same problem. So just like they said in council now, you're thinking, is it a potential for a class action lawsuit? Yes. It's a potential for any type of a class action lawsuit. Anybody can sue anybody for anybody, but why would it make sense in housing? Because for him, housing is a business. For me, it's a commodity. It's essential for me. It's a business for you. So I'm a consumer. So that's when we went to the consumer protection with the home guarantee to talk to them about, okay, we're talking about gas and food and inflation and all that. Well, they're price gouging in housing too, because there's no reason that housing should be this expensive. There's nothing that's driving housing up but the fact that the government gave unlimited amount of money to landlords to pay rents on rental assistance. They knew whatever they wrote on those papers that the rent amount was, they was going to pay 12 months back and 3 months in advance. They was going to get 15 months worth of free rent, no matter how much you told them. That's what drove it up. The free money. Once again, the landlords bailed out. Tenants stalled out because they also got mortgage protection too for the landlords. So you got protection from the mortgage, you got free money for rent, and the tenants got put the hell out. We got eviction court. We got maintenance issues. We had house fires, floods, mold, mildew, and so we're lucky to be there.
Yeah, straight up, New Directions told me, oh, Miss Harris, you can hand over your keys. Why? Because my ceiling's falling, because these spiders and these creepy, I'm sorry, but every time I talk about bugs, I like cringe. But because of these things are falling from my ceiling, I live on the 3rd floor, so it was the roof.
From in the rafters.
Yes. And at this point, the 3rd floor has a really bad rat infestation. I was scared to open my closet in fear of rats, charging at me, and they're just going to kill me because I'm not going to even fight back. But I'm terrified of all of that.
They can have the whole house.
So by me having these worries and these issues that really exist, and I'm a nice person. I like nice things. My home is very well kept and everything like that. But because I'm having these issues, y'all want me to turn in my keys. And if y'all would have did right, I would have been like the #1 person for y'all. But they're doing so many people wrong. And that's why base building is so important, because we need more people to speak up, because these issues are so real. And let me tell you, I haven't seen a nice apartment. I mean, we might have nice furniture and everything like that, but they all have issues. They all have really, really bad issues. I'm talking the water is great. I'm talking the mold. One of the same residents that was being retaliated against, she just had a baby and had to bring that newborn baby home with mold that she complained about a lot. But they still want to keep trying to evict her for the same issue that is not even a problem anymore, because we came together and helped her with that. But she's one of the rare tenants that is speaking up no matter what, and I appreciate her. I appreciate all of the residents that speak up and gather their stories and gather their statements, but we need more, because this fight is a classist, racist, liars, lawyers, developers, what else? All right, judges, realtors, all of this. This is a big, 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 big problem. But guess who we are? We're diverse. We're everywhere. We're united. We're humble. We're just honest people, and we deserve better. We deserve better housing. I deserve to drink a glass of water. I deserve to take a nice shower. I deserve to breathe fresh air. I deserve to breathe air however I want to breathe it in my apartment, but not no black mold. I deserve to go home and not worry about a bug crawling on me while I'm asleep. We deserve these things. And they're not taking a serious, they don't give a fuck, because they are getting all of this money and they are spending it on their housing. And I appreciated sitting in the Metro Council meeting with the LMHACT campaign contract people, and they asked her, "Would you be willing to sleep in sleep in one of those properties for a few days?" And she was like, "Yeah, sure," but you're lying. You wouldn't. You would not dare. I think you would cry. Just how you cried. She cried during the Metro Council. I think you would cry yourself to sleep knowing you are dead wrong. In the same way with the CEO, like I would really love for you to sleep in my old apartment. Please. On an air mattress, please. But they're not going to do these things. They don't give a fuck about being in our shoes. They don't care about our people the way we care about our people. We need our people to speak up more. So that's why we basically like just so people can have that opportunity to share their stories and know that you are valid. You are not alone. Let's fix this together.
And not only that, we've used that opportunity for training too, because people are lacking because the lack of knowledge.
Yes.
They don't know what their power is. They don't know what their rights are. So we've been spending a lot of time with training, with people, bringing people in and training them up. And where do you see yourself, LaMonika? And what is your strength? And where do you see you putting your talent at here in the tennis union? Because if everybody is operating in their gifts, nobody's stepping in nobody else's line.
Yes. And I just feel like while we I just put my mask on. But while we are talking about like education, we really, I know with my people, we have to be more politically educated. I did not know that this fight was going to be as big as it is. I really had no clue on what I was dealing with. And I wish from the beginning that I had that political knowledge that I could teach everyone else. But they, but I just, that's why I appreciate me, like, on the same level at times as the tenants, because I'm gonna learn with you and I'm gonna explain it the way I can break it down to you the way like that'll make sense for all of us. But we have to be politically educated or they will continue to whoop our ass because they think that we don't know anything. If you're poor, it doesn't matter what color you are. If you are poor, if you are Black for real, that kind of does matter. They are treating us so bad. They don't care. They think we stupid. They think we are okay with living in these conditions that will consider, if they keep going down in 5 years, you will consider them the project. They don't give a fuck. So I think that is really like very, very important to get political education, educated and know who your Metro Council person is. At least, the least you can do is know who that person is. The least you can do is know the politicians who actually have your back and have, self-interest that, are similar to yours, because that matters too. And I wish somebody would have told me that a long time ago, because I think I would have started organizing a little bit different. We would have started out with the political knowledge. And then that would have helped more tenants to know, okay, such and such has my back. And so I'm going to come to this meeting because this big politician person is going to be there. And I appreciate the ones that have, came into some of the New Directions properties and seeing how we were living and seeing once you walk through the door, the Carrier Journal published the article on it. When you walk through the lobby, there is Black mold. When you walk through that lobby, but I appreciate the politicians that actually still came in there and heard the concerns of people, because that really matters. And it makes you want to really come to a meeting knowing, okay, this person's about to listen. They're gonna hear what I have to say. And then their story might impact them so much that they're going to speak up on behalf of you. And that is like something that is amazing to me.
Gotta clap up to choreographer.
Yeah.
He really came through for the people, showed us and let us know he had our back, drafted their resolution, made sure that they was all on one accord. And he went at CT Associates and Louisville Metro Housing Authority SNAC. Yeah. So that was a big deal.
And he also came inside of the New Generations of Russell Apartments. He came in the meeting, and at the end of it, first he was having conversations with these people. The court looked like he was about to cry himself. I'm telling you, these stories, we already know. You'll be ready to cry. But he came and like really talked to a lot of the tenants. Then afterwards did a walkthrough himself to know what the hell this one property is dealing with, and it's all around Louisville. It's everywhere. And then Miss Attica Scott standing in solidarity at the rally that we had for the fair lease that ended up being a march. She marched with us, and that just means so much to all of us, all of the tenants, because there are politicians that give a fuck,
Right.
that are willing to help speak up on behalf of the people.
Right.
But it's few. It's very few. Very few.
But
And
people are voting those people in, and that's what people need to see. You know what I'm saying? Why keep voting people in that won't walk with you? You need, and that's what I tell people. You're not using what people died for you to be able to do. I speak to people about that all the time. Our young people and all, vote. That's your right. And it didn't come easy. You know what I'm saying? So when you're looking into these people, you need to know what you're looking into. If you see these people and these people won't shake your hand, if you see them out in public and you speak to these people, if these people won't speak back, if these people, you tell these people there's an issue and they won't go walk with you to this issue, why the hell would you vote for them? You know, if you shake their hand and they're doing this number, I mean, hell, if you want some hand sanitizer, get some hand sanitizer, but they have an issue. Why would you vote for them?
Really big politician that I just can't name right now.
You know what I'm saying?
But they are one of the biggest economic developers. And who would have ever thought?
People will show you who they are.
Greg Greenberg is one of the biggest economic people in Louisville, and he is cool with the CEO of New Directions. And there's a lot of things.
On the board of the TIF.
Exactly.
One of the biggest.
They don't give a fuck about what's happening to our historic buildings.
Yeah.
They don't give a fuck about what's happening to our Black community. They just care about that dollar, and it is so evident. The fact that they're willing to develop things that are already developed and not even heard the ideas of the people. It's our community. I love the Russell community with all my heart and soul. Those are my brothers and my sisters. And they don't give a fuck about how we feel. Exactly. Exactly. That's the only color they really care about.
But you know what the problem is with a lot of this stuff? It's not enough of the people standing up. And if you're destroying your own shit, why in the fuck are they gonna listen to you? That's what's wrong. Our people need to get their heads out of their asses and start standing up.
I think it's really about, I know we're gonna keep
Because if you stand, who gonna move you?
Exactly.
And I think that's what we learned over the past year or so is like, and I think to Jasmine's point, like the Kentucky Democratic Party owns a lot of responsibility in the kind of housing crisis in Kentucky and their complicity in real estate capital. I worked last year on a campaign to stop a mass eviction in a trailer park in Moorhead, and the developer there was Patrick Madden, who's one of the leading donors to the Kentucky Democratic Party. When we start running campaigns against New Directions and campaigns here, that's what we find is real estate capital at the bottom of it, and largely Democrats invested in that real estate capital. So this is not like an issue that we feel like we can win through voting. What we're really talking about doing is building a large enough base that we run our own candidates out of that base. And so that's what we've learned over the years. It's like, it makes no sense for us to go to Frankfurt to try to get rent control passed when everyone sitting there in a seat in Frankfurt is likely Atlanta, right?
Right.
Listen to that, and we need to stop doing what these nonprofits do of dragging impacted people to Frankfurt to tell their story to Republicans, because that's just a powerless way of showing up. And when we go to Frankfurt, we need to go with like 500 people. When we go to city council, we need to go to filling up the room to make sure we can win the fights that we fit.
I don't believe in just voting Democrat. I don't believe in just voting Republican, liberal, or independent, whatever. I believe in voting for who you believe is going to do the best job. I need to see who you are.
I think that's us. That's what
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's what I tell people. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Right. Exactly.
Anybody who's fair game. If you're a realtor, you own property, and you're renting, you're a slumlord.
Right. Then your head is on the table, buddy.
And I think, you know, and I think we need to convey that to council people. It's like, if we don't get what we want, we're gonna take your seat next.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, one of us,
yeah.
We're gonna find somebody who's in your district, and we're gonna take that seat.
yeah.
I want to touch on a couple of those names
I
mentioned
want
there.
that one.
Ja'Cory Arthur, I think he's the best we have in the city. He has courage, and most of these politicians do not. He is the only elected official that hasn't turned me down to come on the show that I've reached out to. Most people won't even acknowledge that I'm asking them to come on because I'm an independent journalist and they can't control my questions. So
Right.
Ja'Cory, no issue. He immediately came on the show. Craig Greenberg, you know, I focus on local politics because I think that's where the least amount of corruption is and therefore the most ability to gain ground. But the one issue with local politics is developers. And so with Greenberg, he is a developer who came in and he bought this election with money like we've never seen before, backroom deals with unions, with elected officials who weren't supposed to take sides in the primary, but did anyways. And they basically forced this guy on us. And I expect a lot of money to go in his pocket while he's in office. So that said, we got about 10 more minutes before I have to go. And I've got a couple more questions here. So we'll try to get in as much as we can. I want to turn to you real quick for the next one. And if you could just talk about the difference between organizing and activism.
Yeah, so I mean, sometimes and oftentimes in this work, people can get lost in semantics and there's a lot of jargon, and the purpose of talking about the difference between these terms is not to be like elitist about, you know, like, oh, you don't know what that word means, or oh, you've been identifying this way and you're wrong or whatever. It's actually because certain words can be used against us in media, and that is very intentional to undermine our power. And one of those words is activists. And again, this isn't about like, you know, being condescending or talking down to somebody who maybe has referred to themselves that way, just kind of broadly to describe like the work that they do in the community. Again, this is like, I'm speaking about this specifically because I want to make sure that it's clear about what we are doing and what we're not doing. And the difference between, so activism is, it's really about kind of short-term reactionary actions that aren't ultimately like accountable to a larger base of people who have shared socioeconomic or other interests. It's not accountable to a larger strategy that is developed by that base of people. And so, you know, like having a rally, for example, alone, just like a standalone rally, or you know, sharing something on social media, like an infographic on social media, that alone, that's just without like an actual like a longer term strategy that has like, you know, material, you know, substantive outcome. That's just activism. That's not organizing. Organizing is actually base building, as we've been talking about, getting people together who have shared economic, social interests, developing a strategy together, executing that strategy, evaluating that strategy, adapting as needed, and doing that again and until we win. Organizing is about winning, and that's what the Louisville Tenants Union is about. That's how we operate. We are accountable to each other. Sometimes organizing is doing childcare at a meeting. Sometimes organizing is cooking for a meeting. Sometimes organizing is being the facilitator of that meeting, being the facilitator of a rally. It takes all different forms, and it all depends on where you are in the process. But yeah, we are organizers because you know, we actually you know, want to build power and we want to win. We're not about just like doing a thing and then walking away. We're about talking about what we're going to do and how we want to win, and actually making that happen until we have a win. And so that's why that distinction is important, because again, the word activist can be used against us by power holders to undermine us. Organizer is a lot more intimidating of a word for them. They don't want us to organize. They don't want us to have power. They don't want us to win. So that's why that distinction is important.
Yeah, that's well said. They want to act like they're like three people sitting around in the room coming up with like strategies. So
Yeah.
that's a good distinction. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, last question here. Just what are your current demands for leases and how can the people support you all? You want to take this, Jasmine?
Yeah. So, our current demands, as a few were mentioned previously, we want we want them to be done by contracted workers. We would like for, the maintenance issues to be done in a timely manner. We want to make sure that we have the right to organize. I should have said that first. We have the right to organize without retaliation. We have, it's very, the fair lease is very organized within itself. We want to make sure that, if the repairs are, as long as the repairs, people have the right to be in their home if the repairs are safe enough to be in their home, basically. And, they have the right to stay. They have the right to say no. Everybody should, if the property needs to be renovated, everyone can, has that option, not just one person, because that's what a lot of, landlords tend to do, is renovate one property and neglect the others. So we want to make sure that happens as well. And, I will post the whole fair lease, demands on the New Directions Facebook page, so you can get a better understanding of all of the demands, not demands, but all of the fair lease, fair lease demands that we are asking for. It's not a lot. And when I say it's not a lot, it's something that they can do. It's something that the landlords actually should have been on board with from the beginning. We should not have had to create another lease, to add on to the lease that they currently have. This lease makes sure that, exactly what the name says, that it's fair for all of the residents, because it's definitely not right now, and the price of rent is steadily going up. And why would I continue to pay more for an apartment that is in terrible conditions, that are not safe, unhealthy, and, overall just terrible, but we have nowhere to go? It's, that's
They
that's
know that too.
yeah, that's the sad part about it. They are treating us like this. They created these leases to make sure that we don't have nowhere to go. And then once they evict us, we are homeless. That's just something I've been noticing. They're making sure that, okay, they can't follow this lease because it's unfair. So I'm going to raise their rent. Oh, you can't pay this rent, you gotta go. And it's something that we together are dealing with. So the fair lease is so organized. It hits all of the demands of all of the tenants across Louisville, actually, but right now, the New Directions residents and the Rowan residents, it's really hitting us hard, because we're trying our hardest. We actually tried for a long time to work besides New Direction, and we've had enough. People are becoming very sick. I mean, people want to act like the pandemic is gone, and it's still here. And they're not doing nothing about these things. So that's why we're taking it upon ourselves to do this fair lease. And I just really, really want the landlords, I want the CEO to really do the right thing, but it's like they don't want to. But I have hope, as long as I have this hope until, they turn it down, then we're gonna keep pushing these fair leases. And then if y'all don't want to do these fair leases, then we're gonna hold you accountable by any means necessary. And when we come, we're gonna have a lot of people with us that stand with us.
That's the truth. You want to say something?
Oh, so we had, an action, last Tuesday, for the seniors in the Rowan apartments. And they are actually demanding the same thing. And that's why they have a soft spot in my heart. The Rowan tenants are, being mistreated. Their maintenance issues are being ignored. And like I mentioned, they're elders. And the fact that nobody is, our elders are being neglected. These are people that you're supposed to respect. These are people that you're supposed to look out for first, because they paved the way for us. So they're demanding a fair lease, just like the tenants inside of New Directions. And can I say his name?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Travis Yates and Lori. Hey, Lori. Lori's the CEO of New Directions. But Travis Yates has already kind of said in his small, statement that he sent to the media that he is not doing a fair lease. He don't give a fuck is exactly how I feel like is what he said. He doesn't care. He's not going to do this fair lease for these people. He hasn't even sat down and let them know, no, this is why I'm not going to do a fair lease. Tell us why you are not going to do this fair lease. Tell us why. Because the seniors are really struggling. And there was more seniors for that rally than my own rally that stood up against Travis and really was on board for this fair lease. And why don't you want to be on board with your tenants? It's so sick to me. But it's profit over people. And I said that the other day. It's definitely profit over people. Travis Yates, we want to know why you don't want to get on board with this fair lease. Lori, with New Directions, we want to know, why aren't you taking your people serious? What we know why, but we want you to tell us why. Like I want it to come out of their mouth directly. And for the media, like I like things like this because it's very transparent. We're very open. We get to speak our piece without it being so opinionated. But the media seems to stand with the landlords too. And that is not fair. That is not right. They, in a sense, they're making fun of us. Classist, racist, like all of y'all racism is showing, and it's sick to me. I really want, and it's like they'll come out to support us, and we're like, yay! This new station, they're out here for us. And then they're literally talking shit about our seniors in the apartments, about the people, our urban community. They are amplifying black on black crime. But here we are, we have a solution for a lot of the shit that y'all trying to put on us. The fair lease is going to help people be able to want to stay in their homes, feel comfortable in their homes, not in the streets and shit, stuff like that. But it's like they don't want to be on board. They want us to be trapped. They want us to be ignorant. They don't want us to have a solution for any of our problems. And this is one of the things that I feel like is very, this is one of the best resolutions that I've ever seen in my organizing short, experience. But the fair lease is the greatest demand that the tenants can get on board with. I cannot stress this enough. We need more tenants to be on board with this. Base building is something that we all should learn. I just feel like more tenants should be ready to organize. I started out as an activist is how I felt. Yeah. So now that we got this, now that I know how to organize, I want everybody to be able to organize. You do not need a college degree to organize. But you will get more respected out here in this community if you are willing to organize and stand up with your people. We really have to have this stable base of tenants that are willing to speak up, and I know that they're around. We just got to find each other. We need more support. Also, I honestly, now that it's on the table, I feel like we need more funding for our people. We are doing this. We are making sure that when the people are being evicted, we got their backs. The landlords aren't taking care of them. They're not putting them in emergency housing. It's us. It's us, the organizers. It's not the corporations. It's not the organizations either that are helping these tenants out.
To that point, there's an organization that we won't name that just got $150,000 from JP Morgan Chase to do a study on why landlords evict people in Louisville, Kentucky.
They did.
You know how many organizers we could have paid with that?
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you by this stuff.
No, that's right. Do you know how
That's the
many?
type of stuff that we will see.
I mean, think about that.
But yeah, that just to do another class or another training or another, just
I read that.
yeah,
I read that
just
study. I was
something
like,
just to
really?
study on. But we're right there telling you Like,
They said that was
we're
because they,
experts.
it's because they don't pay their rent. I said, well, shit, why are they jacking the rents up 25 to 40%?
Exactly.
But nobody's payments are going up.
$150,000 for a study that tells you landlords are big people because they don't pay their rent.
We are the study. We are the people. Like it's a lot. At times I feel like this work that we do can be very overwhelming. They want us to be mental. They want us to have these labels on our mental health and things like that. When it's y'all causing us to have these labels, y'all giving us these labels, causing us to be depressed in our homes, to be depressed with some of the things because we're taking on our own issues and dealing with our residents that we care so much about. I do not want to see nobody get evicted. That's where your money should be going, not towards no study. Like I said, we are the study, not towards no eviction. Give us some money to make sure that people are safe. We are doing a lot of work that the government and other people should honestly be on board without hesitation to do. Give us this funding so we can help these people. We are honest. We are humble. We don't steal. We're doing the right things. And I wish more people would see that because these organizations that are doing these studies and they're doing everything, I bet that money ain't gonna go all the way towards what it's supposed to.
It's gonna be 50 acres in a mule.
Exactly. So I love the Louisville Tenants Union. These are the most humble, diverse, working people that I've ever seen. They organize better than any organization or anybody I've ever came across that want to be labeled as an organizer. These people work their ass off every single day on the weekend too. And I'm here for it. Any way that I can be able to be a voice for the people inside of this tennis union, I'm gonna be there. And I feel like everybody else at this table feels the same.
See what they messed around and they let us nationally, tenants have stepped up nationally. So I don't think y'all caught that. That's 246 different organizations across the US that have come to 50 tenant unions. They have come together throughout the United States when the rent is too damn high. I'm trying to get some regulations around rents. Actually, and ultimately trying to get a national tenant bill of rights. So, you know, we working not just locally, but we're going down nationally. So don't be surprised. 500 people will be easy to show up with.
Okay.
That's gonna be nothing. I just would like to see every year how many numbers that we have. And that's gonna be nothing compared to this time next year. Like,
I tell you, every day, rise up.
Rise up, stand up, yeah, all
day.
Speak up.
That's a great spot there to end it on. Rise up, stand up.
Speak up.
I appreciate the work that you're doing so much. This has been a great discussion. Love the work that you're doing. Real quick, Josh, can you tell people, you know, if they need your help or if they want to help, or just follow what you're doing, how can people follow you guys?
We got like Jasmine said, we got two campaigns popping off. One is the Fair Leases and the New Directions apartment, the Russell Apartments, New Directions, the landlord. If you're a New Directions tenant and you're having issues, hit us up. The other campaign is the Fair Lease campaign in the Rowan Apartments. That landlord is Beacon Properties, and they also have a nonprofit called So Care. If you're one of their tenants, hit us up. If you've had a rent increase recently, hit us up because we have an ordinance coming out soon, an anti-gentrification ordinance that's going to hit Metro Council to stop local governments from subsidizing a lot of the displacement. So if you had a rent increase, please hit us up and get plugged into that ordinance. And then we also have a national campaign that you can get plugged in. Jesse, would you like to give the number up?
Yeah, it's 502-438-9048. And we are going on kind of a break for this month. So you can still leave us a voicemail, but it might just be a few weeks until we get back to you. But do call us if you're one of those votes. Yeah.
Repeat that number one more time for me.
Oh yeah, 502-438-9048.
Awesome. There's so much more we could talk about. We could probably talk for an hour. Unfortunately, I have another show here at 3 o'clock that I have to get to. But I would love to do this again, maybe in the future, and talk about some more stuff. I'm really impressed with what you all do, and it's really powerful stories. And I know you're dealing with some stuff that's really stressful and burdensome, and you all are powering through and making a difference. So I think that's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah. Next time after the UK game.
Hey, we're playing right now too. We're playing right now too. You know?
Josh, I got you on that one.
All right. Thank you all so much for watching. Make sure you share this out. I will be live here shortly. We're talking about the Bullitt County pipeline. So look for that here right about 3 o'clock. Check out my videos from yesterday from the Justice for Emmett Till rally. Some powerful videos there. So yeah, until next time, you all remember, always think critically.